Hello and welcome back to What If, the show where we take the reins of pop culture and imagine just what the world would be like if we were in charge of our favourite media. Today, we're taking a look at D23 2022 and all the marvellous announcements we expect to see at their Saturday studio showcase. I'm that annoying fanboy in the row behind you talking about everything happening on stage, Encyclopedia, and I'm joined by the sexiest Jedi that I know, Greg Sanders.
Hello there.
How are you? How is everything? And what are your expectations for D23?
I'm doing very well. I'm feeling good. Expectations for D23, I wouldn't say they're like super high or out of the realm of like these are ridiculous, but like in terms of expectations, yeah. Fantastic Four director gonna come out. I think we're gonna get news on that. I think we're gonna see something from Deadpool, or not see something because it hasn't filmed yet. So I feel like I have reasonable expectations. The only thing that like is the outlier where I'm like, this is ridiculous, biggest, wildest, stupidest hope and dream I have, and that is they have somebody come out and go, here's Wolverine.
Oh, that would be amazing. Now, She-Hulk has had something quite interesting going on with Hulk, and we obviously know that Wolverine, his first appearance in Marvel Comics was in a Hulk comic.
I believe it was Incredible Hulk 140 or 141.
See, you know the exact numbers. I just think it would be really interesting if we know that there is a slot that currently doesn't have a film just before Avengers Kang Dynasty, and wouldn't it be lovely to have either a Hulk film or a Wolverine film where it's the two of them and they are just going at each other, but in a slightly less fun way.
See, that's immediately my thought because of She-Hulk and what it's setting up and some of the things that we've talked about and, avoiding the leaks that I have. But like, I feel like we're barreling towards a Hulk event where things get really violent and really crazy. And when that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if a government or an individual calls in a particular mutant who is very good at what he does to take out this enemy Hulk.
You could say the best at what he does.
Yes, very true. And if I was a betting man, I'd put money on there being a Hulk movie where Wolverine makes his debut. I mean, I would put money on that right now because like we know that they're building up to something with all these.
I mean, it's not surprising to me that the first oblique reference to Wolverine, like, yeah, we've had the Princess Bar, but there is a man described as having knife hands getting in a bar fight, and that's shown to us in She-Hulk. I feel like there's a reason why it's a Hulk-based program that we're getting this first hint.
I agree. And like, I know that like, obviously comic book fans are going to be the ones who know where Wolverine made his first appearance, but it's so on the nose in terms of building out like this breadcrumb trail where it's like, yes, we know that there is, in addition to She-Hulk, a Hulk project in development. And I'm just like, that's it. That's Wolverine's debut. That's where you put him. And that's how you make it stand out from Fox's Wolverine. Like, you immediately throw him into Hulk. Because, and also, I mean, even think back to that animated film, Hulk versus Wolverine. Like, fans love that toss-up. They love that showdown. Give it to them, and you will have a $2 billion movie.
Yeah, like, for me, my slightly more favoured matchup is Deadpool, just because I really liked that fight where he went out to go get the Gamma Blood and ended up impaling Hulk on a street lamp.
Oh, yeah.
Real messed up, but I did kind of love it. And it's kind of Wolverine, Deadpool, they both went through the Weapon X program. They have a similar idea of fighting skills, so I can see it working really, really well. But what about the rest of the X-Men? You've described how you think Wolverine is going to make his debut. How do you think they're going to show up?
I think, if anything, there are two ways that Marvel could go about doing this. And I think both are entertaining in their own right. I mean, one way is through Deadpool 3. And again, if you could use Deadpool 3 to also give us a Wolverine appearance.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of MCU. But like with Deadpool 3, you're dropping this mutant into the MCU Earth where it's permanent. You know, like he's going to be a part of the MCU, but he is the Fox's Deadpool. He's not MCU's Deadpool. So that's a story that they're going to have to deal with. And like in my mind, I think it would be an amazing, hilarious gag if you use Deadpool 3 to give us MCU's Professor Xavier. maybe not the full X-Men team, but at least Xavier. And then that at least allows you to have a bit of the table set. I think if you do Deadpool 3 and you literally don't reference or do anything with mutants in Deadpool 3 in the MCU Earth.
We've had too many hints that mutants are coming. The M word is the word of the moment. I just feel like Deadpool 3, which currently hasn't officially been announced, it wasn't on the Phase 5 and the Phase 6 schedule, so that's why we know it's been worked on. We know it's so close to like being in production. It's got to be announced at D23, surely.
Oh, I mean, again, I don't even have a doubt.
It fits so easily into this plan of like introducing mutants. We have the suggestion of mutants existing, and then we just have a slow little trickle of like Wolverine here, Professor X here, all building towards an X-Men film of its own.
Exactly. And again, I absolutely agree. Like I don't even consider it a percentage. Like I feel like 100% we see Deadpool 3 at D23. Like we get that official announcement and maybe even the subtitle, but like Deadpool 3 cannot come and go without mutants. And there's several ways they can do it. I still think like keep it, in terms of the X-Men, keep it small, maybe limit it to just Xavier or, and our Wolverine. But in terms of what Deadpool is doing when he lands in the MCU Earth, I mean, there's so many different gags. Because, like, one of the things that I immediately thought of is, because it being Deadpool, him killing the MCU's Deadpool and taking his place.
I can absolutely see that happening. Another thing that I've been thinking about is we know how much he loves Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the Fox X-Men universe. He had the Hugh Jackman face mask. Like, he had the weird little Logan diorama. It would be so great if he came to the MCU Earth and found Hugh Jackman. Not Hugh Jackman Wolverine, but just Hugh Jackman the actor, and had some kind of crazy interaction with him as well. There's so many different directions you can go with, like, how will his relation with reality change when he's in this new universe? Like, he understands the rules of his own reality, but this is slightly different, and that could be quite interesting.
It absolutely could. And again, it goes back to when Fox was still a thing and when Deadpool 3 was in development. This goes back to one of our oldest rumors where Deadpool 3 was going to be a road trip movie where Deadpool kidnaps Hugh Jackman to get him to play Wolverine again. And and it was just going to be a road trip movie on one Earth, obviously. But like, there is no reason that you can't rework that, tweak it, and make it like and I've suggested this before, but like a multiversal road trip. There's still things you could do where you take that original leak that we had and make it work in the MCU.
One of Deadpool's biggest stories is Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Exactly, and I've made the joke. Deadpool kills the multiverse.
That's the thing. Deadpool kills the multiverse. Deadpool kills the universe. If I had any money to put down on anything, it would be on one of those being the title of Deadpool 3. Unless they stick with just Deadpool 3, I feel like films that we're getting right now, they don't really like to be putting numbers after things.
Yeah, they've moved away from that.
Talking about things that we've known exist, we know they've had production, we know so much about them, and yet they've not actually been included on the actual schedule. Marvel's Halloween special, supposed to come out this year. As far as we know...
It is coming out this year.
This is the thing. We know it's coming out this year. We know who's in it. We know who directed it. You know the story, and there is a brilliant video on your channel that goes through all of the plot beats of the story, which I have run away from. But so far, doesn't have an official announcement. Surely it's going to be coming this Saturday.
Oh yeah, it's another one of those things where there's not a doubt in my mind. It's 100%. There's not even a question of it. Werewolf by Night is going to be announced with an awesome black and white trailer on Saturday.
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
Talking about something else almost definitely happening on Saturday. Fantastic Four.
Again, Yet another thing, not a doubt in my mind, we're going to have the director come out on stage, and at least one member of the Fantastic Four will be there with him.
There have been a lot of rumors lately. Krasinski has been throwing around. Penn Badgley from You. Jodie Comer has been thrown around in the last couple of days. There's some very interesting stuff going on there. Maybe none of it comes true. Krasinski, obviously you hope a lot more.
Yes.
But hopefully at least one person comes out on stage, as well as this director. And as we've both discussed before, you believe the reason why Marvel have had such a struggle to get a director for Fantastic Four. I was always confused that when John Watts stepped down from directing Fantastic Four, citing that he didn't want to have to work so many projects in a row, because when he signed on for this project, he was always going to be doing it immediately after Spider-Man. But you have this info that Marvel want whoever directs Fantastic Four to also be the person to, or duo, because that happens a lot nowadays, to direct Avengers Secret War.
Yes. Back when all this first got announced, there was gossip that one of the big things with nailing down a Fantastic Four director is they were going to want this director to work back to back on 2 projects, or that was their hope. And I have been under the impression that obviously Fantastic Four is one project and that Secret Wars is the second one. That is the impression that I've been under.
And who is this director who we currently believe to be first in line?
It is, and it will be Matt Shakman,
the acclaimed director of WandaVision, which I loved the direction in that show. So I think could do great stuff with Fantastic Four, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just the weirdness of Fantastic Four, but then the weirdness of Secret Wars with the Marvel zombies fighting Ultrons, and then also just a place called Greenland where there are only Hulks. Just weird stuff going on screen. I think Matt Shakman could do a great job with that.
I truly believe he will. On top of the fact that he's really great with ensembles too, because he's done episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's done Fargo, and he's done Game of Thrones too. I think he's a really, really up-and-coming director. I think he's a very smart director. I think he's got a good eye, and I think he knows how to work with actors very well. And on top of all of that, I don't believe in coincidences, and they had production documents were updated. Matt Shakman was going to direct Star Trek.
Yeah.
And it has been officially confirmed he backed out. The only way you back out of that is if you have something bigger. He is the Fantastic Four director. That's just it. And then he just needs to come out on stage with John Krasinski, and I'm done, I'm good, and I'll be over the fucking moon.
Talking of WandaVision, Agatha Harkness, she has her own show coming.
Yes, which is a new subtitle now.
It does. Coven of Chaos. Very interesting. She's less the focus. It's still Agatha, Coven of Chaos, but she's not necessarily the only important person there. And that's very interesting because we now have suggestion that Ironheart, the show coming next year,
yes,
will be featuring the character of the Hood. Now, the Hood is a gangster who has a magical cloak and magical boots and eventually is able to use magical guns. And all of that stuff comes from Dormammu, which is very weird. But we have got the suggestion now that this character will be tied to Agatha in some way. And so either he appears in her show or she appears in Ironheart or both. Do you think that we will get anything about Agatha coming up in D23?
Yes, I do, because I mean, obviously Agatha, her show hasn't started filming yet, but Ironheart has started filming, and the original report that we had was that Agatha was going to be in Ironheart in a minimal role, but as a sort of mentor to the Hood, and in terms of him learning magic in that way. And so if they show anything from Ironheart or do any kind of teases, I wouldn't be surprised if Feige's like, and before she returns for her own series, Agatha will return in Ironheart or something like that. I fully expect to see her in Ironheart. It's a question of whether or not they tease it or just outright reveal it at D23.
Talking of appearing in their own series, there is one man who is on everyone's mind right now.
The man without fear.
Daredevil. He is set to come to our screens in Daredevil Born Again for 18 episodes, but he's going to show up in She-Hulk. He already showed up in Spider-Man. We expect to see him in Echo also. Do you think we see him on stage at D23?
100% yes. Yes, him and Vincent both.
What project do you think that they'll be on stage to talk about?
I expect a full trailer for Echo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that full trailer is going to be the reveal that Daredevil and Kingpin are a part of that show. And so I think you bring them out, they talk, and then they maybe, because I mean, obviously, Born Again production documents for Born Again show it premiering in spring 2024, and it starts filming in May 2023. So they don't have anything for Born Again. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of offer some teases. Maybe they come out and say, we've got surprises in store, just fun stuff like that. But I think the big push is going to be on, hey, I'm coming to She-Hulk, and they'll tease that. And then they'll, with the Echo trailer show that, oh, hey, we're both going to be in that. And maybe we get a look at his new costume that he'll have in Echo.
Yeah. Alaqua Cox, real breakout. Hawkeye, I went in just for Kate. I love her.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Came out of it loving her even more, but also loving Echo. Like, she did such a brilliant job with it. It was very interesting for me to go in knowing that this was a character from the comics, but not having any connection to the comics, but then coming out and going, I need to go find out who she is. I need to go and, get in on Echo because she is something special.
I truly believe, that show's going to be big.
I also love Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova.
Oh, yeah, I loved her too.
Do you think that we see her leading the cast of the Thunderbolts?
Yeah, in terms of leading, I feel like Yelena's going to be the leader. I know a lot of people immediately jump to U.S. Agent because of the parallels to Captain America, but U.S. Agent's not going to be leading that team. It's going to be Yelena.
He's going to be there. He might think that he's the leader. It's going to be kind of like Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, where he's there saying, I'm the one in charge, but everyone's just like, nah. This person is clearly the one who's way more important, and we're following them. Yelena is gonna be really cool. Who else do you think could see walk out on stage at D23 and announce that they are involved in Thunderbolts?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Really? How do you think that Kingpin is gonna be involved? Because Thunderbolts is going to be coming out as Born Again is airing.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I don't believe in coincidences a lot, and we know Disney and Marvel love their brand synergy, and Kingpin has recently put together a team of Thunderbolts as he has become mayor of New York, which is, from what I've heard, going to be a part of the story that brings Matt back to New York is Fisk becoming mayor of New York. And I think that there's potentially a lot of overlap there in terms of creative synergy and things like that. But, this is going to be me a little biased. I want to see Vincent as Kingpin and fucking everything.
Absolutely.
But just looking at it, looking at the Contessa, we know that I don't believe she's putting a team together for the U.S. government. I don't.
No.
I think she's putting a team together for someone else. And I think that someone else is either Fisk or Dr. Doom.
Doom, who we do expect to see later this year. I don't see Doom come out on stage because I think they want to hold that for the big reveal in the movie coming out later this year.
I'll give you that, but I'll raise you this. They could still say, hey, we're casting Dr. Doom, not say anything about the project like they did with Jonathan Majors and Loki.
They could bring out Doom alongside Krasinski for Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and fake people out, because that's what they did with Jonathan Majors for Kang. They said, hey, here's our Kang, and it's like, oh, but his first appearance was in Loki, and they didn't they could do that. They could 100% do that with Doom, and because we know, because again, it's one of those things. Not a 100. I'm 100% on this. Doom is going to he's going to be in the movie this year, so I'm ready for it.
As a final little note, no, that there is footage for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We know that there was footage shown for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Do you think we get trailers for those at D23?
I think it's possible if they want to go over that news. I go back to what Feige said. Feige, right after Comic-Con, Feige said, like, he said, we were excited to come to Comic-Con and show you this, but we have a lot more planned for D23. So I'm like, I don't know. I guess you could interpret that a couple of ways. Do they really want to linger on stuff that they just talked about a couple of months ago?
I mean, they don't have to bring out the full cast if they just want to show off, and here's a trailer.
Yeah, that's true. They could open up the show with a bunch of trailers, and and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But I don't expect like a big presentation for either of those. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, oh, hey, by the way, here's a trailer, and also, we've got that, because we already talked about the Halloween special, but we also have the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming in December.
Oh, absolutely. That had just slipped my mind. Also, interestingly, not on the schedule that they showed, even though that's completely announced, completely on our calendars, like the Halloween special, just was not included on the big Phase 5, Phase 6, because we've been told Wakanda Forever will be the end of Phase 4, which has led people to question, wait, does that mean that the holiday special is technically the start of Phase 5? No. It's a holiday special. Like, it's a little breather in between these two big phases that we're going into. Unfortunately, we don't have much time for today. That's all the time we have for this episode. As always, it's a lot of fun talking to you, Greg. Where else can we find you on the internet?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. As always, you can check out our Patreon, which there will be a link to that in the description below. My debut novel, you want to check that out, 89 Instrument of Destruction, available on Amazon. I'm at Greg D. Sanders on Instagram and Twitter. And again, we have an amazing Discord community, The Tower, that you are always welcome to join.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at EncyclopediaYT, and almost always on that very same Discord, The Tower, link in that description. Until next time, stay strong, true believers.